Okay, welcome to topic 13, block 2, notes. So what you're going to do here is make sure that you copy these formulas down. So this is the area for the area of a circle, and this is for the circumference of a circle. Oops. So the circumference is known as the distance around the circle. So if I'm looking at this circle, this is the circumference. And if I'm looking at the area of the circle, that would be everything that I'm highlighting in green. All the stuff inside the circle, all the surface area inside the circle. So that's a little reminder for you. So when I'm looking at this right here, I can see that it wants to have the radius, diameter, area, and circumference. So first of all, we know that they gave us the distance from here to here already, and that it's 84 yards. So I can write that here. The diameter is 84 yards. But I need to find the radius. So if I go halfway in the middle of the circle, the radius is half the distance of the diameter. So I'm going to do 84 divided by 2 to get half the distance. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the radius is 42 yards. Now we're going to do the area. So let's go back here and look at that formula. It's pi, which represents 3.14, multiplied by the radius squared. So remember, radius squared means you're going to multiply it by itself twice, whatever the radius is. So if I look at this, I know that my radius is 42. So that would be 42 squared. Now, if you remember order of operations, we always do this one first before we multiply anything on the outside. Exponents first. So that's 42 times 42. Remember, that number 2 tells us how many times we're going to write down that number. I'm not going to do 42 times 2. It's 42 times 42. And that's going to equal 1764. So I'm going to write that down here. And then now I have to multiply that by 3.14. So I'm going to bring my calculator up, multiply that by pi, and that's 5,538.96. So I'm going to write that down. It doesn't ask me to round, so I have to write that all down, 5538.96. So I'm going to write down 5538.96, and I have to square it because it's area. Now we're going to do the circumference. Remember, that's the amount we go all the way around it. So let's go with, it says 2 pi r, so that's 2 times 3.14 times the radius, and we know the radius is 42. So let's bring up the calculator and move it over a little bit, clear this out. So 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. And then I got to times that by 42. And it's 263.76. So now I can go over here and say 263.76, and we just leave it at yards. So that is how you find the area and the circumference of a circle when they give you the diameter. What happens when they give you the radius? Well, it's the same thing. From here, we already know this is 63 inches, so we can calculate that there. But in order to calculate the diameter, which goes all the way across, we'll do 63 times 2. So let's do 63 times 2. And that's 126. So the diameter is 126 inches. Can't forget to label here. Now we need to find the area. The formula was, if I don't remember, it's pi r squared. So I'm going to go pi r squared. So that's 3.14, parentheses if you want to put them to keep things separate. The radius is 63 squared. So remember, that's 63 times 63. So let's see what that is. 3969. And I have to multiply that by 3.14 because I got to bring that down. So times that by 3.14. Whoa, that's a big number. So let's see, 12,462.66. Oh my goodness, 12,462.66 inches squared. That's a big circle. Now we're going to do the circumference. If you remember, that formula is 2 pi r. So 2 pi r, so 2 times 3.14 times r, which was 63. And then 2 times 3.14, 6.28. And I have to multiply that by 63. 395.64. And we just do inches. Now, whenever you're doing a story problem, I would always, besides critically reading and writing down the numbers and what they represent and the question, you need to also make sure to draw a picture. So why don't you pause the video and try to get that information, not solve, and see if you match me. All right, so I was critically reading, and they're saying that Maria has 18 7/8 inches of ribbon to trim the circular edge of a cylinder vase. So here's my vase, and here's the circular edge where she's going to put the ribbon all the way around. So they're wanting to know what the radius is. And we already know that the distance all the way around is already 151 over 8, which, you know, all I did was make that mixed number into an improper fraction. So we need to look at what formula talks about going all the way around. Now remember, that is called the circumference. If we go back up to the top, remember, circumference is the distance around the circle. So if I go back here and make this larger, we know that all the way around is 151 over 8. In case you need that little bit of a reminder, we can write it there. So we know that 2 pi r is the formula for circumference. And they want to know what r is. And they gave us the final answer of 151 over 8. And we know that 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. Let's try it again. So we're going to go 2 times 3.14, and that's 6.28. So this should be 6.28 r. Let me write that better. And that's equals 151 over 8. Now we're getting back into balance line. So we are going to divide by 6.28. And we got to draw an extra thick line here and divide by 6.28. So this cancels out and we have r, but this looks ugly here on the right. So we're going to rewrite this so that we can see it nicer. 151 divided by 8, then put the division symbol and do 6.28, and I'm already going to make that a fraction so that it's easier to deal with. So we know that division with fractions doesn't exist. We have to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. And now we can multiply straight across. And 8 times 6.28, well, I don't know what that is, but we already have 6.28 here, times by 8, 50/24. Now we can do the math where we are going to do 151 divided by 50.28. And R is all of these numbers, but you know what? We're going to round and we're just going to say it's 3. So when we go up here to answer the question, what is the radius? The radius is 3 inches. So I should put inches there. Awesome. That's how you do that. Good luck with the practice.